Here's something that sounds completely backwards. The smarter you are, the harder life can feel. Not because you're weak, not because something is fundamentally wrong with you, but because your mind notices what most people are lucky enough to miss. We're taught from childhood that intelligence is an absolute gift, a head start in life, the ultimate tool that is supposed to make everything easier. But if you ask the people who actually carry it, you'll hear a much quieter, darker story, a story about restless nights, crowded thoughts, and the chronic feeling of being utterly alone in a room full of people. Today, modern psychology and neuroscience are going to explain why a sharper mind so often becomes a heavier heart. In clinical psychology, this is known as the glyphtid dilemma, the hidden emotional cost of high cognitive processing. By the end of this video, you will understand something profound about your own inner wiring that you've never quite had the words for. We are going to deconstruct the exact scientific mechanisms that turn a high IQ into a heavy emotional burden. Before we break down the hard science behind this, which side of the spectrum do you live on? Drop an 88 inches in the comments right now if your mind constantly feels like an unyielding storm, or comment 99 if you feel like you can easily switch off your brain and enjoy a simple, peaceful life. Let's see how many deep, restless thinkers are tuning in with us today. Let's begin with struggle number 1, overthinking everything. It always starts with a single, innocent thought, then another, and then 10 more. A simple, everyday question like, what should I say in this message? Quickly turns into a massive, exhausting courtroom trial inside your head. Every single word is cross-examined, analyzed for hidden subtext, and brutally judged before it's ever allowed to leave your mind. Psychologists formally call this rumination. Neuroscientists have discovered that highly intelligent brains possess an overactive default mode network, DMN. This is the specific brain network that activates when you are resting or daydreaming. In average individuals, the DMN slows down when not in use. But in highly intelligent minds, the DMN lights up like a chaotic city at night, running continuous loops, digging up old files, and creating scenarios that don't even exist. Intelligent brains are evolutionarily built to analyze and solve problems. They naturally see more angles, more outcomes, and more terrifying what-ifs. And that is highly useful in a crisis, right up until it isn't. Because now, every single choice you make comes with a hidden heavy psychological cost. Cognitive researchers call this phenomenon decision fatigue the slow, invisible drainage of mental energy that comes from weighing too many variables too often. Because your brain processes information at a high resolution, you can freeze in terror in front of a simple restaurant menu. You can effortlessly solve a highly complex mathematical or logical problem in seconds, but choosing what movie to watch tonight feels utterly impossible. The exact same mind that protects you and helps you navigate complex tasks is also the very mind that traps you in an invisible cage. And the strangest, most painful part is you rarely notice the bars of the cage. From the inside, it doesn't feel like a psychological trap. It just feels like normal thinking. But overthinking is merely the surface layer of this psychological landscape, because there is a much deeper loneliness waiting underneath it. Struggle number 2, feeling profoundly different from most people. You have almost certainly felt it before, that quiet, aching gap between you and the rest of the world. You sit in a lively conversation, smiling and nodding at all the right times, but a massive part of your mind is somewhere else entirely. You are operating 3 steps ahead or 3 layers deeper than the surface conversation. You desperately want to say what you are actually thinking, but life has repeatedly taught you what happens when you do. The blank stares, the awkward silence, the immediate change of subject, the painful feeling of being told you are too much, too odd, or simply too far away. So, you do what so many highly intelligent people quietly learn to do just to survive socially. You mask. In social psychology, this is known as cognitive masking. You deliberately shrink your thoughts down to a size other people can easily hold. You laugh at the shallow jokes, pretend to care about trivial gossip, and keep the vast majority of your inner universe locked inside. Psychologists describe this specific ache as intellectual loneliness. It is not the state of being physically alone. It is the devastating feeling of being entirely unseen while surrounded by a crowd of people. The more you hide your true depth to fit in, the more misunderstood you feel. And the more misunderstood you feel, the deeper you hide. It becomes a psychological loop you can never explain to anyone, because explaining it would mean taking the mask off and risking total rejection. This intense alienation isn't only about how you relate to people. It stems directly from a powerful cognitive function your mind performs without ever asking for your permission. Struggle number 3, seeing problems that others are completely blind to. Your brain is a highly advanced evolutionary pattern recognition machine. It automatically connects dots, tracks behavioral trends, and projects future outcomes whether you want it to or not. It is the exact scientific reason why you can sense how a movie ends within the first 10 minutes, why you can feel a lie in your gut before the person has even finished speaking, or why you instantly spot the fatal flaw in a business plan that everyone else in the room is calling absolutely perfect. This hyper-pattern recognition is one of the greatest cognitive gifts of a sharp mind, but every gift carries a severe tax. Because once your brain maps the crack in the foundation, you can never unsee it. You are forced to notice the deeply broken systems at work in your society, your workplace, and your family. You see the massive gaping chasm between what someone promises and what they actually do. While everyone else happily moves on with their lives, you are left completely alone, holding the crushing weight of what you noticed. It feels like being the only person awake in a room full of sleepers. You desperately want to point at the fire, but pointing at the problem makes you the difficult negative one. So you carry it in total silence. And that silence slowly hardens into a quiet, chronic frustration with absolutely nowhere to go. Awareness, it turns out, is not always a comfort. Sometimes it is a heavy burden you never asked to carry. And that cognitive burden has a specific psychological name that might surprise you because it almost always shows up in society wearing the beautiful mask of a strength. Struggle number 4. When perfectionism becomes a lethal trap, from the outside, it looks like pure ambition, flawless high standards, and the mark of someone who cares deeply about excellence. But on the inside, perfectionism is almost always just fear wearing a nicer outfit. When your brain has the intellectual capacity to conceptualize a completely perfect, flawless version of a project, a piece of art, or a relationship, the messy reality of the real world will always fall short. So you delay, you procrastinate, you obsessively polish, you refuse to release your work into the world because letting it go means risking exposure to judgment. Clinical psychologists strictly separate healthy, adaptive striving from what they call maladaptive perfectionism. In the maladaptive state, your goal is no longer the pursuit of excellence. It is the desperate, terrified avoidance of failure. Underneath that chronic fear lives an even quieter, more insidious whisper. A voice that relentlessly says, "You are not nearly as smart as people think you are." And one day, very soon, they are going to find out the truth. In psychological literature, this is known as imposter syndrome, and it aggressively haunts some of the most brilliant and capable individuals on this planet. The cruel irony of high intelligence is that the more you achieve, the louder and more terrifying that whisper becomes, because now you have so much more to lose. You are no longer chasing greatness. You are running for your life from being exposed. But running forever takes an immense amount of emotional energy. Let's pause right here, because this specific psychological trap is where so many brilliant minds break down in silence. If you are currently trapped in this agonizing cycle of maladaptive perfectionism and imposter syndrome, drop an 88 inches the comments below. But if you feel completely secure in your abilities and can accept your mistakes without self-sabotage, leave a 99. Let's open up this conversation, because seeing other deep thinkers share this struggle is the first step to realizing you are not alone in the dark. There is a profound biological and psychological reason why your mind never allows you to feel completely finished or satisfied. It is deeply buried in how high intelligence processes the nature of truth itself. Struggle number 5, questioning absolutely everything. Here's the ultimate cognitive paradox. The more you know, the less certain you feel. This is a highly documented psychological pattern known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Individuals with limited understanding of a topic often experience supreme, unshakable confidence because they lack the capacity to see how much they are missing. Conversely, highly intelligent minds can clearly see the vast, infinite ocean of information they don't know. And that view is deeply humbling, but it is also completely exhausting. You constantly question your own biases. You see both sides of an argument so perfectly that you are no longer sure which side is truly yours. You hesitate to speak with absolute certainty because you know just how terrifyingly complicated the truth actually is. Meanwhile, the loudest, least qualified voices in the room, armed with the simplest, most dangerous answers, are the ones who get listened to, believed, and followed. This confidence paradox leaves the most qualified people filled with deep, silent doubt. And carrying doubt every single day is exhausting. This non-stop cognitive skepticism inevitably leads directly to struggle number 6, the eternal search for meaning. This is the massive, heavy question that wakes you up at 3 a.m. Why am I here? What is the ultimate point of all this effort? What does any of this actually mean in the grand scale of time? Most people can easily brush these massive thoughts away and return to their daily routines, but an intelligent mind is biologically incapable of letting go. It looks past the surface comforts of daily life and stares straight into the abyss of mortality, time, and the sheer cosmic absurdity of being alive at all. Psychologists who specialize in gifted education have a precise term for this heavy state of mind: existential depression. It is a profound, heavy sadness that does not stem from personal trauma or daily life problems. It comes entirely from the sheer size and weight of the questions you keep asking. You can have a flawlessly good life on paper, a great career, a stable income, a loving family, and still feel a massive, hollow space where ultimate meaning should be. You wonder why everyone else seems so incredibly content with answers that feel far too small for you. You crave cosmic purpose more than temporary pleasure, and when you can't find it, the silence of the universe can truly ache. This is not ingratitude, it is psychological depth. But this immense depth does not stop at your thoughts. It reaches deep into your nervous system, and that is where the heaviest weight of all is carried. Struggle number 7, carrying invisible emotional weight. You do not just think loudly, you feel things at a devastatingly high amplitude. A sad song can completely shatter your day. A stranger's subtle sadness can sit in your chest for hours. This is advanced emotional depth, and it runs right alongside your logical intellect, just as powerful, just as intense. Your empathy doesn't stay politely at arm's length, it completely absorbs. You act as an emotional sponge, carrying other people's pain, grief, and unspoken stress like it's your own, often without even realizing you've picked it up. Because you understand people so deeply, they naturally lean on you. You become the ultimate listener, the unpaid therapist, the unshakable, steady fixer in every relationship. But who do you turn to when your own emotional weight gets too heavy? So you hide it. You comfort everyone else and quietly carry your own psychological storms alone. Because somewhere along the way, your brain decided that needing help would make you a burden to the world. The deepest struggle of an intelligent mind isn't being misunderstood by others. It's understanding so much about the world and feeling like you have absolutely nowhere to put that understanding. And that brings us to the profound truth underneath all 7 of these struggles. The one central idea that explains everything: intelligence does not create suffering. Intelligence amplifies awareness. It turns up the volume on absolutely everything: every thought, every flaw, every feeling, every cosmic question. And awareness always cuts both ways. The same mind that feels pain deeply is the exact same mind that feels beauty deeply. You do not struggle because something is wrong with you. You struggle because you are fully awake to a world that most people experience with the sound turned halfway down. Your depth is the source of your ache, but it is also the definitive source of your joy, your insight, your ability to create, to heal, and to love at a level most people will never reach. They were never two separate things. They are the exact same gift, felt from 2 different sides. You don't have to fix your depth. You only have to learn to carry your own mind with a little more kindness. Stop treating your brilliant mind like a problem that needs to be solved. Some weights get lighter the moment you realize you were never supposed to carry them alone. Now, I want to hear your final thoughts. Out of these 7 silent struggles, which one hit closest to home for you tonight? Leave an 88 if it's the nonstop overthinking and intellectual loneliness, or drop a 99 if it's the heavy emotional weight and imposter syndrome. Read through the comments of others, because somewhere in those replies is the definitive proof that you were never as alone as your mind told you you were. If this video finally gave words to something you've carried in silence for years, hit that like button and consider subscribing. We will keep exploring the quiet truths of the human mind together, one thought at a time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next deep dive.